Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm back today with David Erickson, CEO of Phound. David, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me, Doug.
So, the big headline, and we ran it just a few days ago, is we now have Phound for Business. But the big sub headline is this ain't another UCaaS app. This is something new.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to have some overlap with UCaaS, but I think that Found, the way that Found is built, the way that Found deals with identity and filtering and keeping people out that you want out, being able to build private caller groups and all those kind of things. It's a little beyond. And so I think Found is not just another UCaaS app. It's much more than that, and something that people are using. From everything from blast texting to phone calls to applying personas so that information can be found about the individual, identity can be handled, and ultimately filtering can take place.
Now, just to give people a little bit of background, Phound is a new company and it's a new concept, but it's connected to, and you've got the hat on, and you were just telling me the story about the hat. It's very connected to a very well-established company, Carrier X. So, what is Carrier X and Carrier X infrastructure?
So the story is that in 2001 I founded Free Conference Call, and it was a pretty wild success, and it scaled dramatically, and ultimately became the world's largest audio conferencing company by minute volume. In doing that and in scaling that company, freeconferencecall.com, I literally had to build our own conferencing bridges, build our own phone switches, build our own phone company, our a fiber ring that went around the globe, and many other things. A lot of storage, redundant, basically entrance points into our network. A place at One Wilshire in Los Angeles, and through all of that, right, we got certified as phone companies and whatnot, and all of that sits under the umbrella Carrier X, and the idea of Carrier X is eventually to kind of exchange carriers through our network, as we're connecting to a lot of carriers in order to do the things we're doing.
Now, there's a big idea, and we talked about the beginning of Found, and now that we're talking about it being offered to the business community, you touched on it earlier. You guys treat what is basically voice communication, or UCaaS, very differently. You treat it more like email. You treat it more like your other identities, as opposed to a phone number and you're just making calls and receiving calls. There's a very different mindset to what Found is doing.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, I love phone numbers. I mean, bottom line, I think phone numbers are the greatest thing. And the reason I think they're so great is because there's been like 6.5 billion of them distributed, and most of them are held by individuals. And if you think about it as an individual address in this global environment that we live in, everything's so globally scalable, everything's so globally accessible now, right? That our global address is actually this phone number, and it's organized by region, by carrier, by country. So it's a very sophisticated addressing system in that it started out to basically be the address of your phone. It should be the address of your UCaaS. It should be the address of your phone. It should be the address of maybe some of your email routing. But ultimately, it should be the address of your identity, right? And like who you are, and it's a unique identifier. And we don't have all those many unique identifiers. I mean, we've got like DNA, we've got phone number. I suppose your home address is a kind of a unique identifier. But there might be multiple people living there. So you have like government issued IDs and different things. And I think the smartest one to roll all the information up and to sit on top of a unique individual would be a phone number. I think that's what I believe in Found. That's what we're selling Inside Found, really the SKU is a phone number. And so whether you want like a virtual mobile number, you want an eSIMs number, you want a VoIP number, you want a toll-free number, you want a vanity number, everything in Found kind of stems from that, that top unique identifier of a phone number, and then folds much, much more in than just simple UCaaS or the simple phone, right? And so we're identifying an individual, we're attaching an ID, we're adding a wallet, so financial transactions, document signing. So there's a lot of things that are in Found that are based off of the idea of a unique identifier that kind of fall outside of what I would say is your average UCaaS. I mean, I think we are going to be called UCaaS. I think we're going to be called a lot of things. Hopefully all good. But one of the things, I think people call it Found a phone. They call it a UCaaS system. They call it a text blasting system. They call it a unique identifier, identity system, protection, a number of different things that I think can overlap with UCaaS, but don't necessarily say UCaaS.
Well, let's dive into something that is definitely unique. You have something called an identity verified model. What is that?
Yes. Well, so it's very, it's very simple to match your driver's license with your Found phone number. And if you do so, then you get a blue check. Well, Doug, if you call me and I'm using Found, I see that you blue checked. It's like, I know it's you. And so we've done an end-to-end IP and Found. We've also done an end-to-end basic caller ID. And I know this is where caller ID is going to end up, right? Currently, we have a system that's tied to the PSTN that, we dip different, databases in order to produce our caller ID. It's very easily spoofed. I can take a VoIP phone, put your phone number on the VoIP phone, call a friend of yours, and it's going to show up as your number, and they're going to pick up and say, Doug, what's going on? And I'm going to say, haha, I got you. It's Dave. So the current system we have doesn't work, and we've created a basically, it's kind of like crowdsourcing caller ID. You're able to go and put in information and Found, verify an ID, and then have that travel with your phone number to, other sites that are willing to accept it or verify it. And so we see things coming where when if we can transmit through that it's a Found number, you can easily take the number, search it at Found, and find out who called.
Now, you and I were just discussing all this travel. We've been to a million, trillion, zillion events. I think I've been hearing that there's going to be multi-person persona management. It's been a promise out there for a long time. Found actually delivers this? Is that actually what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think so. I think your persona travels with you. I think that we're creating an environment where if you had a virtual assistant, right?
Right.
how would you give the virtual assistant a phone, and how would you give the virtual assistant SMS, and all of the different things that you would give to a human, right? And Found basically does all of that. When we hire a new employee, right, we set them up in Found, we set them up with a phone number, we set them up with a way to communicate with the teams, put them in groups, set their filtering and everything, and they're all set to do all the communication they need to do in our company. And so it's if it was the difference between a human and then like, hey, we want to connect this to a bot that we built in OpenAI that answers questions or does customer support, we use Found again, and Found sets up, and the bot has a persona and has information. Everybody knows exactly what it is. It's identified by the phone number. It's easily invited into meetings, included in lists. You can send it things. You can continue on and chat sessions with it after the meetings. It's just an amazing way, right, to like kind of expand your identity. My favorite thing I've seen with AI and I don't know how they're doing, but they were originally at the VCon things, the proxy twins, the idea that voicemail is gone, and we're going to have a twin, right? That's our identity. That's doing much more
Right.
than say voicemail could ever do. And so I think it's going to create a really nice thing for the traveler. I'm a big traveler. I'm part-time California, part-time Hawaii, and with Phound, nobody ever knows where I am and what I'm doing and whatnot. But they're always in touch with me, right?
So, David, all year long, and I know in the coming year even more, we've been not only hearing about AI, we've been hearing about AI in the context of that our AI employees, our AI assistants are going to be like other employees, and that we need to start future proofing what we do. Is Found future proof for this new type of environment where AI is just sitting right next to the human employee?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that we've seen happen over the last little bit with AI, the kind of last couple of years, I guess, is the you jump on a meeting and there's like three different note takers in the meeting. It's all AI. We're starting to see some menu answering and some things of that nature. And the idea behind Found since its inception is that AI is coming, and that AI needs to be integrated into the communication systems the same way that a new employee does, right? That there would be a persona built around what this AI robot does. It would get invited into meetings. It would have a phone number. It would have a way to communicate with it. It would identify you through your phone number and know which meetings you'd been in, which ones you hadn't been, which ones you were invited to. And so it would have a way, basically, on a level playing field of communications with humans and SMS and Found chats, Found groups, SMS groups, information sharing, even payment, right? So you can have AI agents that require you to make a fee paid or something like that. So that's kind of the idea behind Found is we've always wanted to be a know who's calling phone system and identify who is calling, but not only identify who is calling, secure that it's actually them, provide secure channels of communication, telephone numbers and identities that can't be spoofed, right? And then a way to verify, right? A way to friend and follow so that people can kind of block out certain things. All of this is going to be also very important for AI. I only want people from inside the company able to call AI, right? Like, I don't need, like, how do you attach a phone number to AI without creating a really nice filtering system around it to keep everybody out of it, right? Especially if it's a company asset. So these are the things that Found does that had a little foresight that I think as we get to know AI better and start using it more, we're seeing that it fits very, very nicely.
And then with all that custom built AI anticipation, it's then built right on top of Carrier X infrastructure. So that itself also helps facilitate things like VCon and so on.
Yeah, so we see ourselves as an enabler, right? And so we're not getting into like the AI game. We might have a chosen AI partner, but our system's always going to be open so that people can bring in whatever AI it is they're working with. We work with some people that have been working with AI for a long time, have multiple tools, and it's like they can't just use what Zoom's giving them, or they can't just use what the UCaaS provider has cobbled together for the general public. They need very specific tools, and they want to do them a certain way. You mentioned like VCons, for example.
Yeah.
Okay? How is this data stored? How does this AI search through data, and how do we protect the data? How do we protect personal information, credit card information, things like this? Because it's like doctors are going to be using AI, financial institutions are going to be using AI, And the VCon is one of those things, right? It's outside of Phound. It's not a Phound product. It's not the Phound standard. It's just a leading standard right now by which people want things recorded, filed away and properly executed as residual to their conversations and communications, right? And I think that's really, really important. A lot of people right now are thinking of the front end, like how do I get AI on? How do I do this and that? And they're not really looking at the back end, like how do I make this transferable? How do I make this residual information from my communication, ultimately pliable and where I can do many, many things with it and not be held or become captive in some way with my information stored at some proprietary vendor.
So, everybody tells me all the time that their product's made for SMBs. How is Phound actually made for SMBs? How will Phound, let me ask that even better. How will Phound make SMBs distinctive?
Well, so it doesn't matter how big my company gets. It always seems like it's small. At the peak of my days, I was told you're a startup, and I think, you know what? I think I'm an eternal startup, and I'm an eternal small business, and I'm a bootstrapper. And I tell you, I think the thing that I want to see is simplicity and all out functionality, right? Like I want it to be easy for me to set up, easy for me to get into. We're working on the things with the campaign registry, for example. They don't like individuals. So if you just come with like a social security number, it doesn't work like a tax ID number. And like, how can we work with these smaller guys, bridge this gap? And it's not just a secret sauce on our side. It's actually like meaningful negotiations with the powers that be to understand what's going on. So I would say the Phound working in SMB is philosophical all the way to implement it. And I think I would recommend any small business to just get a free Phound account and see all of the things that it does, right? And all of the tools that it fulfills for a small business or an individual that's kind of a one-off guy doing his insurance or selling telecom, running a podcast. We think all the tools are in there, and we're happy to hear where we can add and expand. But it's a very, very complete system for SMB.
David, I want to thank you for joining me today. This is very interesting. The news headline is Phound is now available for business. And you were just inviting people to come by the website, kind of download the app, kind of kick the tires. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we're at www.phound.app. And so that's PHOUND. It spells Phound. And it's www.phound.app.
Phound.app, everybody. Take a look. We're scrolling it across the bottom. David, thank you for joining me today. This has been most interesting. I'm gonna look forward to talking to you probably in less than a month. See how this is rolling out. I know I'm going to see you at one of these events. So
Well,
there'll be lots of news.
it's great to be on your show because I know you've got a lot of really great listeners. So anything in the future, I'd love to do it, Doug.
All right. Well, the very best of holidays, and I'll see you in the new year. But for now, thank you very much indeed.
All right. Cheers.